In football, it's the coach's responsibility to put his team in situations where they have an advantage over the competition. It's the same exact thing in business. As business professionals and entrepreneurs, it's our job to make sure that our business is positioned in a way that we have a specific advantage over the competition and we're creating value for the consumers. That's what we're going to be talking about in this video right here. We'll be back after the intro. Get ready to succeed. Okay, so this is the final video in our competition series. You've already been exposed to a numerous amount of business strategies as well as business tools. But what we're going to talk about today is a concept called the competitive advantage. So now that we have done an extensive analysis on what the competitive landscape looks like, what our job now is to identify a specific advantage that we have in the marketplace, something that we can easily execute, something that our target audience will value, and also something that's very difficult for the competition to be able to imitate. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to bring this section home and we're going to bring everything we've talked about so far in this competition series all together. If you haven't watched these videos yet, make sure you do so. If you need to see the link in the caption, if you're not already a member of our exclusive business training membership, make sure you do that as well. Okay. The main question that we need to talk about today is, what is the advantage that you have over the competition? Just like in football, if it is fourth down, you have 1 yard to go to get into the end zone in order to win the game. You know that you have a halfback that is always good for 1 to 2 yards. It's not the fastest person. He's not the best running back in the world, but very durable, sturdy legs. You know that that individual can always get 1 to 2 yards. That is an advantage that you have over the competition in the game. Well, in the game of business and entrepreneurship, what exactly is your competitive advantage? What is that thing that your business has that the competition cannot touch? That's what we're going to talk about in this video. So what a competitive advantage is, it's a core competency that does three things. It has to fulfill these three things. Number one, your competitive advantage has to be something that you can execute. Yeah, you could think of the best advantage in the entire world, but if you can't execute it on a time basis over and over and over again, then what good is it? It has to be something that you can execute, that you can produce. So that's number one. Number two, it has to be something that your target audience values. Because if it's something that you can execute, but your target does not value, well, they're not going to pay for it, right? So it only makes sense. So it has to be something you can execute. It has to be something that your target audience values, that they're willing to pay for. And then the final thing is it has to be something that's difficult for your competition to imitate. And when I say by difficult, maybe you have IP, intellectual property. Maybe you have a copyright on it. Maybe it's a patent. Maybe it's a skill set. Maybe it's something that's just intangible, like Chick-fil-A's customer service. Maybe it is systems and operations that you have in your company. Maybe it is raw materials. Whatever it is, it's a challenge for your competition to imitate. So that right there is what your competitive advantage is. It has to fulfill those three things. You can execute, something the target values, and something that's a challenge for your competition to imitate. Now, here's the thing. Your competitive advantage is going to be the core. It's going to be the anchor of your competitive strategy for a number of reasons. Because just think about this. If your company is good at X and it's something your target values, it's something that your competition cannot imitate, well, shouldn't that be what guides your product development? Shouldn't you build all of your products and offerings and services around that element? Absolutely. So that's one of the reasons why a competitive advantage is so important, is because it helps drive your product development process. What type of products, what kind of products, what type of services that you're going to be offering. The other thing it does is it helps identify and guide your messaging selling points. So whatever you're advertising or your PR or your social media or your messaging in general, obviously if your core advantage is something that your target audience values, that should be front and center of your messaging pieces. That should be front and center of every single piece that you communicate. Hey customer, you value X. Guess what? We provide X. Perfect match. The other thing it does is it helps your business stay focused on a specific strategy and a plan of action. It helps your business stay focused on strategy and action. As business owners and entrepreneurs and business leaders, it is very easy for us to get distracted. This right here might look really good, but it might not be in line with our strengths or our competitive advantage. So even though it might look good, it might not be good for us. So those are just some reasons why a competitive advantage is such a value to your business. Okay, so what are the tasks that you need to do right now in order to develop a comprehensive competitive advantage? All right, task number one. We just went over so many business tools. You have to review all of them. If you print them out, put them on your desk, take a look at all of them at one shot. If you want to pull up different windows on your laptop, however you want to organize it, we have to bring all of these business tools front and center. Remember, we never do a business tool just to do it, check mark, and leave it. It always drives to the next strategy. It always drives to the next strategy. So what business tools should we look at? Well, your list of competitors, your industry trends, your positioning map, your 5 Ps, your competitive forces, the competitive strategy analysis that you did, your SWOT analysis. You can even bring in some of your targeting strategies if you want. You have to, all this data that you've organized and analyzed through this series, we now have to bring it to the forefront. So that's number one. You've already done the groundwork. Bring it to the forefront, review it, look at it, what stands out, what is in line with what you want to do, what is not in line, what works, what doesn't work. So that is step one. Now step two, what we need to do is we need to select our competitive strategy. Remember, in the previous video, we discussed all the different types of competitive strategies. Now it's time to select what one is best for us. And what we need to do is we need to play that matching game. So we have our strategies on one hand. Are we going to niche down? Are we going to be a cost leader? Are we going to compete on differentiation? So we have our strategies on one hand, and on the other side, we have the resources that that's available to us. So what exactly are the resources that we have? What are our strengths? What are our weaknesses? What are the selected segments that we plan on targeting? What are the different opportunities that we've been looking at? What does the competitive landscape look at? So we're looking at our options for opportunities and strategy. We're looking at all of these different business tools, all of this data that we analyzed. What is the best match? What strategy perfectly fits and is most in line with the resources that we have available? Right? For those of you who are watching on video, on the screen right now, this is a fantastic tool to help guide you through the process. Those listening on audio, you can just go to the website, drcalise.com, and you can download this template. It's fantastic. But here's a list of questions that will help guide what strategy should you use. Okay, niche down, couple of questions. Did you create your niche positioning map? Are you going to niche down based on segment, based on industry, based on geography, etc.? How do you plan on niching down if you're going to do so? All right, so you fill that in right there. Next, What niche is best for you? What niche is best for you? Is there a niche that you're connected with? Is there a niche that you know better than anyone else? Is there a niche that you can offer a customized solution for that someone else is not? Is there a niche that would appreciate your solution better than anyone else? So these are just some questions, brainstorming questions that you can ask yourself. And as you're asking these questions, you're looking at the business tools and to find out if this is a good fit or not. Now listen, this tool right here is asking you a bunch of questions, but it might not fit for you. Maybe there is not a niche that is good for you. So maybe that's not the best strategy. Maybe there is. But this is the place for you to analyze, compare, and contrast to see if it works for you or not. All right, we're staying in the niche down. How will you compete? Are you going to create something different for a small group of people? Are you going to find a specific niche and create something that's customized specifically for that group? Are you going to pick a small group of people and offer a solution that's cheaper than anything else that they can get? All right. So that's niche down. Does it work? Does it not work? I don't know. You got to do the analysis. Next option, cost leader. Are you able to drive down costs better and more effectively than the competition? Yes or no? Are you able to create a significantly lean process? Do you have supplier power where you can actually bargain down your suppliers so much where you can lower your costs? Do you have such a low overhead that you can have prices cheaper than anyone else? Again, maybe the answer is yes. Maybe it's no. If the answer is no, don't take this strategy. If it doesn't fit for your business, stay away from it. But you want to ask yourself these questions. The other element on the cost leader is, are you willing to take less profit? Do you need a lot more money? Are you okay with less money? Do you just want to make a handsome living where you can just pay your bills and just coast by and you're okay offering a cheaper price? Again, I don't know. These are questions for you to ask. And then finally is differentiation. Do you want to compete by being different, right? And what I mean by different, one of the things you can ask is take a look at your buyer persona. Is there something that you see in that buyer persona that your target audience would want, but no one is serving? They're underserved. And you can do something, you can create something different that they would love to have, but no one's doing already. Next, take a look at your positioning map. Are there gaps in the positioning map that could actually be an opportunity for you? Look at what your target audience is currently buying. Can you make it better? And I'm not just saying a little bit, but I'm saying significantly better. Can you make it significantly better? Do you have such an appeal to your brand that you could create an emotional connection to your brand better than anyone else, like Rolex or luxury fashion brands, all right? So this tool is absolutely fantastic. Go through these questions. Look at your business tools. Look at all the data you've analyzed and then ask yourself, is it best for my business to niche down? Is it best for my business to be a cost leader? Is it best for my business to be different? Okay, so that's task number 2. Task number 3, are we going to enter an existing category or do we want to create a new category? Do we want an existing category or do we want to create a new category? So how exactly do we make that decision? Look at your positioning map. Look at your niche positioning map if you're niching down. Look at your competition tools. Again, remember, keep those tools out. Where do you have the resources to best execute? That's the question you have to ask yourself. As you're looking at the positioning map and all of the different business tools that you have, where do you have the resources to best compete? Okay, let me show you an example. If you are entering into the food industry and you want to enter into the low-price fast food area and you want to compete with McDonald's and Burger King and Chick-fil-A, do you have the resources to do that? Do you have the facilities and the systems to do that? Or do you want to, let's say, go up here where this local salad is or this spot in the top middle where absolutely no one is in that space? Is that better served for you, right? Again, These are questions that you need to start asking yourself, but now is the time to ask it. Are you better entering a current category and you have the resources to compete in that category? Now, maybe the category has a lot of competition. Maybe the category has very little competition. Look at this this company right here, Local Scratch. There's only one company in that category. Maybe it's already established. It's already defined. It's something that you can jump into. Maybe that works for you. But again, these are choices that you have to pick. Are you going to create your own category? Are you going to jump into a current one? Look at the niche map, all right? All these spots in blue, all these blue circles, those are open categories. Those are new categories that no one has capitalized on. Is that where you want to compete? Or do you want to compete in one of the categories that has a red circle that is already established, right? Again, choices for you to make. Now, there's pros and cons on whether creating a new category or competing in an existing category. If you create a new category, the pro is there's no competition. No one's competing in that space. Absolutely, it's wide open. The con is that it's not established. And what I mean by it's not established is customers don't understand what this category is. So you're going to have to spend some time and effort educating your target audience exactly what it is that you do. All right, so that's the pro and the con. Flip side, if you go into an existing category, the pro is it's already established. Customers already know exactly what type of business it is, right? So you don't have to do that education. The con is you got competition and you got to compete with with already established businesses, right? So that's your choice. Again, one's not better than the other. What is best for you? That's the question you have to ask. Task 4. Now it's time for us to identify our competitive advantage. We're looking for an advantage that you have over your competition that you can execute. Remember, you have to be able to execute. It has to be in line with your strengths. It has to be something that you can produce. If you say you're going to do it, you have to be able to do it. It has to be something that your target values, something that they're willing to pay for, and has to be something that your competition finds it difficult in order to imitate, all right? So how exactly do we do this? How do we create this competitive advantage? Here is a fantastic tool to help guide you through the process, all right? So you can see the first 4 parts of this tool is really your SWOT analysis. Now, we're not asking you to copy and paste your entire SWOT, just the top key items. Look at your strengths. What are your top main strengths that you think are the greatest value to your business? Okay, put it under strengths. Weaknesses. What are the main weaknesses? The ones that you most have to watch out for. Put it there. Opportunities. What is the greatest opportunity that you see in order to advance forward? Threats. What are the main threats from your SWOT, right? So that's the top 4. Now you're going to put your selected competitive strategy. Look at your SWOT, positioning map, resources available, selected segments, niches. Are you best served to be a niche down strategy, cost leader, or differentiate? How will you apply the strategy? What I mean by how will you apply, again, you don't need to write a novel, just a couple of lines. If you're going to go after differentiation, how exactly will you be different? If you're going to niche down, who exactly is the niche? And how are you going to be different? How are you going to customize? Or how are you going to be cheaper, right? You put that in there. If you're going to be a cost leader, exactly how are you going to produce a product cheaper than the competition, right? So that's what we're talking about there. You put that right there, all right? New or existing category. Again, what category are you jumping into? Who are your main competitors? Who are your closest competitors? Is it an established category, or do you need to educate the consumers on what this exactly it is that you do? And now finally, with all that information, what is that competitive advantage? So remember, this all has to sync. This all has to line up. As you define your competitive advantage, something that your target values, that you can execute, difficult for your competition to imitate. This all has to be in line. So your competitive advantage has to be in line with your strengths. Your competitive advantage has to stay away from your weaknesses. Your competitive advantage must be something that will help you fulfill those opportunities that you selected. The competitive advantage has to be something that helps you alleviate those threats. You see how we have those checks and balances? They all fit into play. Your competitive advantage has to be something that is in line with your competitive strategy. So if your competitive advantage is you have this fantastic distribution system and you want to compete on price, well, that distribution system might help you lower cost, which is in return going to help you to compete on price. Does that make sense? And then finally, new or existing categories. This tells you who your main competitors are. Who is closest in that positioning map to you? Are they able to easily imitate this advantage? All right, does that make sense? Now, what's really important is, now that, again, I'm really big on, I really don't like the training programs where you do something as a check mark and then you forget it. You have to understand why this is so valuable and why this is so important, because it really, really is. What are the benefits of doing this competitive strategy? Okay, strengths. You know exactly what your strengths are, so let's maximize them. If you have a halfback that can always get you 1 or 2 yards, and it's 4th and 1, if you have that strength, you got to use it. If you have a wide receiver who you know is absolutely fantastic at getting the first downs when needed, you have to use that tool. What strengths do you have at your disposal that you can actually use to help your business succeed? Don't put them away. Make sure you maximize your strengths as much as possible. Weaknesses. Really, with your weaknesses, again, you have 2 choices. You can aim to decrease your weakness, or you could stay away from it. Tom Brady was not the most athletic individual. He was not drafted high, but he worked hard. He put the time in to be able to read defenses better than anyone else. He worked on his arm strength. He worked on his flexibility to be a little bit more mobile. Is he going to be a running back? Absolutely not. But he worked to limit those weaknesses. The weaknesses that you have, are you going to actively work to limit them? Okay, great. What are you going to do? Or are they weaknesses where, listen, I'm just not fast. It's not going to happen. So you stay away from it. You do something else. But what this does is it helps you start to put your strategy together. Opportunities, areas in the marketplace for you to grow and increase profits. Threats, that's your risk analysis. If you have a threat, you always have to be aware of it. So if there's a threat of your business, you got to make sure that you're aware of that threat at all times. All right. Finally, your competitive strategy. This helps you put yourself in a position for you to be in the best situation to compete. Customized solutions for small groups, cheap solutions for small groups, cheap solutions for large groups, or something completely different from a larger group. What do you have the resources for? What is the best way for you to compete, right? Then your existing category. It helps you to identify who your closest competitors are, your main competing factors, the perception. And this is really important. The perception that you must maintain in order to compete in that space. Now, what am I talking about? Remember, when you created your positioning map, you identified 2 measures, 2 leading measures. It could be price, it could be performance, whatever it was. What are the 2 main items that your target audience uses to make a decision of who they're going to buy for, right? We did that in the positioning map. If you forgot it, go back and review it. And remember, we gave a scale 1 to 10. Where do you fit on those different elements? That decides where you're going to compete. So if you are going to be a level 5 quality product at a level 4 price, what type of product you always have to maintain? You can't drop the quality from a 5 to a 3 in order to maintain that price. No, because that's not going to fit your perception. That's not the deal that you've given to your consumers. You have to match that conception. But now that you have it mapped out, it helps you to identify that a lot more effectively. And then finally, your competitive advantage. What is that advantage that you're going to execute on an ongoing basis that your target audience will value? Okay. Last thing, close it out. Checks and balances. Remember, this is not something that you do once and you forget about it. It is checks and balances. you want to periodically review the strategy. Now, I'm not saying you got to do it every day or every week or every month, right? A couple of times a year at least, right? And the reason why you need to review this is because you need to analyze what's working, what's not working. Do I need to revise? Do I need to revise? So how exactly do I do that? Okay. Again, this tool is fantastic. Here's your checks and balances questionnaire. Strengths. Are these strengths that you put down, are they truly benefiting your company? Or really they're just there? If they're not benefiting your company, take them out and put ones that are. And maybe they change. What could be a strength one day might not be the next day. All right? Weaknesses. Are they still truly a weakness? Have you minimized them? Have you alleviated them? Or are they still there and you need to be aware of them? Opportunities. Are these opportunities contributing to your profit? So the opportunities that you are pursuing, are they contributing to your profits? And are they contributing at a level that you expect them to? Or do they need more time to evolve, right? If you only started an opportunity a couple of months ago, obviously you want to give it a little more time. Are there other areas of focus that would be of value that you need to look at? Again, revise and replace as needed. Threats. What is the risk level of each threat? Revise as needed. Selected competitive strategy. What is the current competitive environment? Are you truly connecting with the customers based on the strategy that you selected? What's working? What's not working? Do I need to stay course or do I need a shift? Right? Again, you don't know this unless you do the analysis. New and existing categories. Who are your closest competitors? And this is really important. This one, the category one, is actually really important. Are the main factors that you selected, the main measures that you selected for your positioning map, are they still the most important deciding measures for your target? So if you said that your target audience cares more about price and performance than anything else, is that still the same? Or is now social status more important than price? Or is convenience more important than price? Or have things shifted, right? Maybe it's the same, maybe it isn't. But this is an opportunity for you to revise it. What are the two most important factors? Remember, we talked about 5 deciding measures that consumers use when they're making a choice. As price, convenience, physical, social, performance. Are the 2 that you selected for your positioning map, are they still the most important? And then look at the perception level, 1 to 10. Are you still in line with what you said? Do you need to change it? Do you need to revise it? Or is everything working properly? This is a fantastic way for you to identify what's working and what's not working. All right? Competitive advantage. Is this competitive advantage still the advantage that is best served for you? All right? That's your checks and balances. And that's it, my friends. That wraps up this series on competition. I hope you've gotten a lot out of it. Bible verse of the day, 1 Corinthians 9:24. This is the Bible verse that we've used many times throughout this section. Don't you realize that in a race, everyone runs, but only one person gets the prize? So run to win. I wish all of you the utmost success as you drive forward and you grow your business. If there's anything we can do, make sure you reach out to us. Have a fantastic day, fantastic week. Make sure you succeed. See you later. Be good.